Today's training will highlight important district obligations to support English learners, or multilingual learners as referenced in JCPS. We will highlight some of the language shifts in this video. However, to stay in alignment with language used by the Kentucky Department of Education, the term English learners will be used when referencing multilingual learners at other times during this presentation. In JCPS, we recognize the assets of multilingual students. In the 23-24 school year, we made shifts to recognize those assets. Office of Multilingual Learners, or OML, previously known as the English as a Second Language, or ESL office. The Office of Multilingual Learners provides wraparound services including identification, registration assistance, language services, and instructional support. Multilingual learners, previously known as English learners or ELLs, English language learners, ELLs, Limited English Proficient, LEP. This language shift promotes and fosters an asset-based approach, recognizing all the languages JCPS multilingual learners possess. English Language Development, or ELD, previously known as the English as a Second Language, or ESL program. This language shift supports the asset-based approach by recognizing English may be ML's third or fourth language. The ELD program provides instruction that focuses on the 4 English language domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. We will discuss how English learners are identified in Program Service Plan, or PSP, requirements for all English learners in the remainder of this video. All local school districts are required to administer a home language survey, also known as HLS, to all students enrolling in a Kentucky school for the first time. The home language survey is administered one time upon initial enrollment in grades K through 12 for all students and remains in the student's cumulative file. The home language survey helps identify which students are potential English learners and who will require further assessment of their English language proficiency to determine whether they are eligible for language development services. There are 4 required questions on the home language survey, and if any language other than English is written for any of the 4 questions, even if the answer is English/another language on the same line. For example, if a parent were to report for question number 2 that the answer is English/Spanish, the student would still be required to be screened. Once schools have a home language survey completed and signed by the parent or guardian, Infinite Campus certified registrars must enter the information in Infinite Campus under the Demographics tab. English learners should be screened and identified, receive a PSP, and parents should be notified of their inclusion in the English Language Development Program within 30 calendar days of their enrollment. Once a student has been identified as an English learner, the OML Welcome Center updates the EL tab and other relevant program information in Infinite Campus. The EL globe typically appears within 24 hours. This informs schools that the student is a multilingual learner. According to the federal definition, English learners are those students whose primary language is a language other than English and who are identified by the English Language Proficiency Screener. English learners are an extremely diverse group of students representing hundreds of language backgrounds and nationalities, including many born in the United States. Program Service Plan, or PSP. All students who have been screened and identified as English learners are required to have a program service plan. A PSP is a legal document that indicates the ELD service types, instructional accommodations, and assessment accommodations for every EL student. The PSP process starts with the initial identification that includes student demographics, English proficiency screener results, and academic history, if available. Schools finish the PSP by individualizing EL students' service types, accommodations, and the expected rate of transition from the program. The PSP committee shall determine the content of the PSP. This includes the ELD teacher or counselor who creates, reviews, or amends the PSP. Input is required from the general education teacher and a parent or guardian. The principal signs the PSP to complete the process for the current school year. Once a current year PSP is created and signed, it must be printed and placed in the student's cumulative folder. All previous versions can be removed and destroyed. The PSP should also be shared with the parent or guardian. Please reach out to any of these contacts for further information.